All right, Midlife Mama with you again, and I wanted to touch on some more odds and ends preparation that I have here at home. I know some of you are downloading information off the internet, and the internet is a great place to find information about all sorts of things. But the one thing we know is that if there is a SHTF situation, we may not have an opportunity to access the internet nor use perhaps our printers or anything else, even if we've typed up things on our computers. So I will continue touching on some of the things that I have done in preparation and the materials I've gotten in preparation, just because I know a lot of us like to minimize our home libraries these days. But what we have done here is we've started to gather things that we're trying to rely on for, I don't know, if for no other reason, to learn how to do it. Now, dehydrating food is something you need a dehydrator for, and obviously electricity. If you have a gas or other sustainable type of electricity source, then you can definitely plug in your dehydrator. But I do know that dehydration can take in a machine more than a day, and so that may use quite a bit of your resource for electricity if you're going to do that if the electrical grid goes down. But dehydrating food itself is great because then you have access to a lot of food in a smaller amount of space. And so that's one thing that I'm going to be working on as well. And then I did say in a previous video that I am planting quite a bit of things that are non-food items, but I've tried to make all of them edible. Not all, but most. So flowers, herbs, things like that. And this Encyclopedia of Herbal Medicine is good because it provides a resource for making different types of medicinal properties or things that can help heal you. And that it basically, as an encyclopedia would, it's alphabetical. There's goji berry, lobelia, and lemon, and all sorts of things. It tells you what you can do with it, how you can use it, how you can make key preparations and their uses, and what parts you would use to make a thing. So it's really quite cool, and I intend on going through this a little bit at a time. And the same thing with this book. I like to always have two sources on things because pictures are important. Like I'm going to be growing the calendula, and I want to know what exactly it's used for, how it grows, when you can use it. Some of these things only use, for example, the root systems. And when we use the root system, sometimes they don't develop well for medicinal use for 2 years. And so we're behind the 8 ball if something is going to happen soon. Then we decided to get the Survival Medicine Handbook because, obviously, it goes through all sorts of things that can be helpful. Second-degree burns, hemorrhaging wounds, allergic reactions, and anaphylaxis, insect bites and what happens there, dealing with sewage issues, dental issues, lice, ticks, worms, patient transport, essential oils and herbs. And it basically gives quite a bit of information. And this is something I got on Amazon, so you can find that there. And then over here, I had been on a chat room about 9 months ago, and someone was in school for a thing. I think it was a pharmacist, actually. And they mentioned this book. It's really old, but it is a resource that doctors used to have to create medicines before there were large pharmacies, which, if you didn't know, they'd use a lot of homeopathic things. Now, I did start flipping through this and reading some of it. It is quite intense. I'm not a medical doctor. I am a college graduate, but some of the language that's used in here is a little advanced. But you can start to go through it, and the part that stuck out to me the most was this word homeopathic. And I thought, well, gee, if I have some of the information materials, plants and such that I could use, I could maybe make some medicines that might be helpful, or use some of the old ways to help treat, maybe not cure, things, all sorts of things like high blood pressure and different pains and things like that. And then I hadn't really I got this for free or something from something I bought. But hydroponic gardening is something that we might have to go to. If you've gone into any other website, you've heard, gossip about the potentiality of governments trying to restrict backyard gardening. And if that ever happens, you might have to bring it indoors. So I thought this would be a good resource to have on hand. I did flip through it when I got it, and I need to go back to it and learn a little more about it to see how difficult or easy it is. And of course, this is a handbook everybody should have. It literally, if you're out and about, you can throw this in your backpack and in a prepper backpack, and it tells you all sorts of things to do. This, for example, I open right up to using a simple snare, and it gives you a little tutorial on how to make one so that you can catch yourself something to eat. And it's just really, really a good resource to have. And it's not too terribly heavy, but those are kind of like the Bibles of survival. And of course, who couldn't go without a gardening book? And then I have another one for containers because I've been doing quite a bit of containers. And so sometimes these are a little more glorified, the way they talk about certain things or how they grow, some of the pictures they include. But the information is there, and and it's not too terribly thick, and I can stack them up in my home. So those are just some of the books that we have, not all. You do you, but these are just suggestions and things that I thought would be good to have on hand. And I'm certainly at this time in my life, in this time in history, undertaking to learn things that maybe my ancestors knew, maybe my Indian ancestors were used to, maybe the ancestors here in our country were able to rely on, just common knowledge things. We've all definitely lost common knowledge. And so I'm trying to get back some of that to hopefully pass on to my progeny. So anyway, those are some things I have. Hopefully you got some inspiration and you can start figuring out what you'd like to have on hand. Have a good day.